in. We've got lots of people registered, so I really think because you've paid us the courtesy of coming in on time, we'd like to pay you the courtesy of getting started. So I'm really excited. So let's get cracking. Can you start recording, Eileen, please?
Yes, done, yep.
Fantastic, brilliant, thanks very much. Okay, so a very big, huge welcome. First of all, I'd just like to ask those of you that have come on, can you quickly just show me by raising your hand, there's a little hand button you'll see, I will explain this in a bit more detail in a moment, just to check that you can all hear me perfectly fine. So if you could all raise your hands for me, that would be lovely, thank you. Okay, excellent. Good. There's a little, for those of you that can't find it, I'll tell you how to find it in a little while. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. You can all hear me really well. Fantastic. Hi, Graham. Thank you for coming in. That's brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, lovely. Thanks very much indeed. Okay, so today we're actually going to be talking about the 5 steps to alkaline diet success. And we're going to be talking about this with Andrew Bridgewater, who is a chartered psychologist and an alkaline diet expert. So first of all, I'd like to let those of you know who we are. We're Suzanne Barnett, I'm Suzanne, and my business partner Eileen Bowley, and we run Webinar for Success. So say hi, Eileen.
Hello everybody, thanks for being here.
Brilliant.
And I'll talk to you a bit more later.
Fantastic. Thanks, Eileen. And we're really, really so delighted to be running this event for Andrew Bridgewater tonight, who, as I said, is a chartered psychologist and alkaline diet expert. So say hi, Andrew.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Now, I'll let Andrew come in a bit more later on, and he really is going to tell you some fantastic things about an alkaline diet and how it can really improve your lifestyle.
I think we've got some background noise here, Suzanne. It sounds like somebody's eating dinner.
Let's see. Let's see.
It's all right, it's all right. Okay, if somebody else is on the panel list, that's okay.
Okay.
Tanya.
Cool.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so what I'd like to say to all of you tonight is, first of all, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. And I want you to really enjoy the webinar and make it as interactive as possible, because I'm sure that you're going to have loads and loads of questions. Okay, so please ask any questions that come to your mind. It helps us to give you all the information that you need, because you are really going to find out so much. Can I ask you, please, with respect, to turn off your mobile phones or put them on silent, keep them out of the way, because the more attention you pay to this, the more you'll get out of it. And also any applications that you might have open. If you switch off as many of your applications that you're using as possible, because it does actually interfere with the quality of the sound of the webinar that you're receiving. So if we could ask you to do that, that would be fantastic. And what we promise you tonight is that you will discover how the alkaline diet success formula will change your life forever. So before we get on to that, as if you were coming onto an event, I'd like to get some domestics out of the way. There are many, many of you tonight on the webinar that have actually been to webinars in the past, and for those of you that have been, you'll know exactly what this is all about. But for those of you that haven't, you can see that you have a control panel. Now, you might only see at the moment a little red arrow. I'm just pointing at it with my mouse at the moment. There is a red arrow. Now, if that red arrow is pointing toward the left, you need to click on it, and it will expand so that you see this view of a control panel. Now, really, the things that you need to be looking at for yourself is that you have a hand that will allow you to actually indicate to us that you want to ask a question. And at some point later on, we're going to open up the lines to some of you so that you can ask some questions if you want to. However, in the meantime, please don't hesitate to ask any questions, and you can see that you have a question box, and you're able to enter a question in there. Now, what will happen is we'll see that question, and we can answer that question for you. Okay, so ask those questions. The other thing that we like to do for the guests of our webinars is that we'll send you an email afterwards giving you a kind of FAQ document. So all of the questions that are asked during the webinar will be sent to each and every one of you, and you'll get all of the answers, because I can bet your bottom dollar that if someone's asked a question, no doubt many of you have asked the same question in your own mind as well. So keep it as interactive as possible and really sit back and enjoy the webinar. So, without further ado, I'm really delighted to introduce you to Andrew Bridgewater, Chartered Psychologist and creator of the Alkaline Diet Success Formula. So what I'm going to do, Andrew, is I'm going to change presenter so that you have the control. Okay. And in a moment, Andrew Bridgewater will take control, and then he'll be able to talk to you guys and give you all these lovely steps to Alkaline Diet Success Formula.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Can you see my screen now?
We can see your screen fine, Andrew.
Great. Okay, that's lovely. Well, welcome everybody. It's just fantastic. We had so many people register for this webinar tonight, and I've got a promise to make to you tonight that I'm going to show you 5 things, 5 simple steps that you can take to alkaline diet success using the information that I will give you tonight, and it will give you some great results. I can promise you that. At the end of this webinar, what I'm going to do is extend to you a special offer because you've made the effort to be here tonight. Now, I don't want you to invest in it. Let me say that again. I don't want you to invest in it unless I make good on my promise to show you 5 easy steps to alkaline diet success, which, as I say, you can take away from this session tonight. So you'll immediately be able to use what I'm going to share with you. It's not complicated, it's not difficult, it's not scientific. Sometimes this stuff is very wrapped up in jargon and it's very scientific, but I've demystified all of that, and I promise you it's very usable. And if you follow this step-by-step formula, I can promise you you're going to get some great results. And as I say, at the end, I'm going to show you a way to get faster and indeed more certain results. So in the UK here, it's Pancake Day or Shrove Tuesday today. It's start of Lent tomorrow, and as many of you will know, that's often an opportunity where people think, well, they resolve to give something up for 40 days. Well, I don't want you to give anything up for 40 days. What I'm going to ask you to do is to make a few small, simple changes to your diet and lifestyle for 40 days, and then watch the results compound to a massive difference by Easter. Now, that's a slightly different way of looking at Lent, but I promise you, you will see some amazing results. And a lot of what I'm going to say this evening is based on the principles of Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, embodied in a book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And if anybody on the call has read that book, you'll know that small, simple changes compound to produce a massive difference. And that's what I'm going to show you today, some small, simple things which, if you do them, you put them into your daily routine, within weeks we'll see your health, your vitality, your energy, your immunity from the bugs, the flus, all of that will start to move. So, how did I get here and why did I get here? Well, this is me back in late 2007 at the age of 45. Not a pretty sight. I was pretty unhealthy at that point. I was carrying 3.5 stone or 50 pounds, 22 kilos of excess weight. I was literally struggling to get up that mountain in Ireland, and I didn't feel good about myself, my life. I got all the ailments. I was consistently ill, and I also used to suffer a lot of stress in those days. I don't think people realize that actually being unhealthy and overweight actually does lead to a very different, very much lower stress threshold, and that's where I was. My life was very much in a rut in terms of my relationships. My 20-year marriage was not good. I didn't enjoy my job. My income was suffering, and it wasn't a good time in my life, really. And then there was an amazing epiphany, really, and I'm going to describe it to you in the only ways that I know how. I actually got into an elevator when I looked like that in 2007, towards the end of 2007. And this elevator in London, I've been running a course, a corporate training program, and the elevator had a mirror on 4 sides, and I looked at myself in that elevator mirror series, and I just thought, what is going to become of me? I was 45 years old. I felt very stressed out, very overweight, very unhealthy, very unattractive, and my life just seemed to be getting away from me. And I thought, well, what's going to become of me? And at 45, there's a sense that you don't have very long to turn this around. Now, I knew what to do. I simply wasn't doing it. And the reason I knew what to do was that I'd been on a Tony Robbins course called Unleash the Power Within, which many people listening to this webinar will have experienced. It's a wonderful program, and on the 4th day, there's a day called Living Health, which for me was utterly transformational, but not until I actually put it into practice, which was 2 years later. Which brings me to the ancient Buddhist saying, to know and not to do is not yet to know. So if you know some of this stuff that I'm about to share with you tonight, but you don't do it, then my inference is that you don't really know it, and therefore it's important that you start to put this stuff into practice, and that only action is what gets results. So within 6 months, I'd lost 50 pounds, 22 kilos, or 3.5 stone in weight. Not only that, I felt the abundant health and well-being that is your birthright, and is my birthright, and is everybody's birthright, even in midlife and beyond. I was enjoying that youthful energy and vitality. You can see it. You can see it in my face. You can see it in the way that I'm using my body. The ailments and the stress had virtually gone. In fact, my stress threshold has raised dramatically. I no longer get the colds, the flus, the minor ailments. I used to get a lot of skin complaints, a lot of trouble with dry skin, eczema, that sort of thing. It's gone. More to the point, I've got a new business, I've formed new relationships, I have a totally new future. Now, that was because I started to put the information that I'd been aware of but hadn't used into practice. And what on earth was it that made that difference? Well, I think the critical thing was I reached what I called that point of willingness in that elevator in London. When I saw myself fat, stressed out, overweight, middle-aged, I just thought, what's going to become of me? I've got to turn this around. And some people listening to this will think, yeah, I can identify with what you're saying, that there is a level of pain that we hit threshold sometimes, it's called, and we think, I'm done with this level of pain in whatever area of my life this is. I've got to turn it around. I've got to change it. There is no alternative. And I started to apply some of the simple alkaline diet principles that I'm about to share with you. They simply became daily habits because they are so simple, and they still are my daily habits. And I'll be sharing those with you and telling you how I've used them even today. Just as we're on the call now, I'm sitting here with the water, the wheatgrass, the almonds, the things that I just routinely use as daily habits.
Can I just say, Andrew?
Yeah.
When I just saw that picture, I'm absolutely gobsmacked, because obviously I know you from various things that we attend together, and yeah. I never even imagined that you would be a guy that was so overweight, and you clearly did look overweight, and now I mean, it's taken years off you. Really has taken years off you. I'm totally gobsmacked.
Well, that's nice of you to say. It's hard for me to remember back to those days in some ways, because I sort of erased them from my mind. I hid from the camera for a number of years, as some people listening to this may resonate with. You just don't feel good about your body image, and actually your body image says a lot about you. It's not just about the weight, it's about all the things that you succumb to when you're unhealthy. And my approach is all about getting healthy in order to lose weight permanently. That's the end of the telescope we're looking down. Unfortunately, a lot of diets and dieting approaches start with losing weight in order to get healthy, and that's a very different philosophy, and it leads to very different results, and it's what gets people stuck in this yo-yo diet pattern that wrecks their metabolism. It's not good for your heart. It's certainly not good for your psychology, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I've actually spoken to lots of people who have tried loads of different diets, and just felt rubbish because they've failed with the diets, or they consider that they've failed with the diets. But really, my opinion is that the diet industry has failed them.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Suzanne, and I think it's amazing what's going on out there, and I feel so privileged to be able to share some simple, natural information and to help people transform their lives in the way that I have, the way that Eileen has, the way that other people that I've worked with has. And all of that really came about because I met a guy called Mark Anastasi, and Mark and I met actually at an NLP course back in 2005, run by somebody called Topher Morrison. And I stayed on Mark's list for 3 years until I picked up an email from him saying he was looking for 3 mentoring clients, and I responded to that email, and we worked together for 6 months, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made, because some of you listening will know Mark, and Mark also attended Unleash the Power Within, has also used the alkaline diet principles to transform his life, and is a very successful internet marketer who lives with abundant energy, vibrant health, And in fact, his first ebook was all about using these principles to overcome diabetes, which I was talking to about it just last week when we were together in Cyprus. And I feel very blessed that I was able to spend some time working very closely with Mark, and he helped me create my first program called the AV Diet, which stands for the Add Vitality Way of Living. Because this word diet has got very misused. We sort of touched on it just a moment ago when Suzanne and I were talking. The word actually derives from the Greek word dietos, meaning way of living, and that's how you think, what you drink, how you eat, how you live your life. And that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a holistic way of living, and I think that's a very different philosophy to diet in terms of denial, pain, suffering, calorie reduction, going hungry, and all the things that have become synonymous with the word of late. So that was really quite a transformational time for me. I started working with Mark. I published the AV Diet in November of 2008. And since then, I've made it my business. It's my full-time business. I've become an expert. More than that, I've interviewed other experts in this field so that what I'm bringing you tonight is the best of the best in this field. And I'm confident of that because I can share this success formula with you. And we've got Eileen on the call who's going to tell you about her amazing results later. So it really is the most fantastic journey. And you can probably tell there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of emotion in this for me because it is literally been transformational in my life. So what we'd like to do is we're going to run a quick survey now. This is the beauty of webinars. We can be interactive with you. So we want to understand some of the health benefits that are important to you. So I'm just going to hand over to Eileen and Suzanne, who are going to run these couple of quick questionnaire surveys for you, which will give us some really good information to work with.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. The first poll that we'd like to run for you is it's a question that says, which one of the following health benefits is most important to you right now? So all you have to do is when you see the poll come up is if you'd like to click on one of those options. It could be living with more energy and vitality, losing or gaining weight to reach an ideal healthy weight, alleviate ailments, boosting immunity, or significantly reduce the risks of contracting a major illness. So if you just click on one of those, that would be brilliant. You're all voting quite nicely, which is excellent. Okay, nearly there. About 70% of you that voted, just a few more. Excellent. Just a few more. We've got 84% voted. It's great that you're all participating. Thanks very much. Nearly there, 87%. Just give you a few more seconds. 87, 88. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's brilliant. Thank you. 90% of you have voted. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you what the results are, which is really quite amazing. You can see that living with more energy and vitality is way up there, 51%, which is brilliant. I think a lot of us really do want to find that secret elixir to having the more energy and vitality. Losing or gaining weight, 34%, as you can see. The skin complaints, 4%, boosting immunity, 3%, and significantly reducing the risk of contracting a major illness, 8%. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, now don't rest too much because I've got another little survey for you. Now this time is which of the following health benefits are important to you right now, and select all the ones that actually apply to you this time. Okay, so it's the same sort of answers, but select all of the ones that you feel or you consider are important. So you can have more than one answer this time. The results are very, very interesting as they're coming through, Andrew, actually.
Great.
Because whilst we had the sort of highest percentage in the top one, living with energy and vitality, now that we can choose more than one, the percentages are changing quite considerably, which is brilliant. Yeah, I'll show you the results in a minute. We've had, let me see, 80% of you have voted. Fantastic. Okay, 85%. Nearly there. Just give you a few more seconds. This one's a little bit longer to do because you're clicking
Yeah.
several boxes there. So I'm now going to close the vote and show you the results. So thank you again for participating. And as you can see there, we've got the highest percentage again with energy and vitality. And you can see how those percentages have changed. And that's interesting. Andrew, significantly reduced the risk of contracting a major illness has gone up suddenly. So it is considered to be important for people.
Yeah.
So take that away.
That's great. Wonderful. Well, this is so helpful for us all, actually, and particularly me being here running this, because I think that this whole idea of living with energy and vitality, it's so crucial, and it is your birthright. You owe it to yourself. So thank you for that. That's really helpful information, and it gives you the sense that you're clear about some of the benefits of the alkaline diet lifestyle now. Those are all benefits of the alkaline diet lifestyle, and what we're trying to understand is how you prioritize them, which are the most important ones for you. So let me take you through the 5 steps very briefly, and then we'll go into each one in detail. So this is where I'm going to walk you through step by step what you need to do. And it is all about taking action coming away from today. So great, the information is very useful, but there's a new dirty word that's going around, and it begins with the letter K. I know that. And some of you may be looking at some of this and thinking, well, I know that. I know I should be drinking water. But as I say, if you know it but you don't do it, you don't really know it. And therefore, what I'm going to be talking about is how you can start to embody these principles in your day-to-day life, how you can start to make them into routine habits where you don't even need to think about them, where the benefits will compound to produce you this massive, massive difference in the true style of the slight edge. So let's talk about winning the mental game to start with. So we're going to be looking at winning the mental game for life. We're going to be looking at proper hydration. We're going to be looking at alkalizing to add vitality. So this is particularly important, clearly, for everybody on the call. We want to live with more energy, and this is the crux of it. How to detox gently and sensibly, which is a very important part of the alkaline diet success formula. And finally, how to quieten the mind. Now, just before we do that, we've got another quick survey for you, but I just want to say it's really important. But first of all, you take some notes and you get ready to take some action from these notes, because this is what will change your life. So very quickly, we want to understand what sort of other approaches to good health and or weight loss have you used in the past. And again, it's a very quick 2-part survey, but it will give us some sense of your current knowledge, current background in terms of different approaches in this area before. So again, I'll just hand over to Suzanne and Eileen to run us through this part of the process.
Okay, I'm not sure.
As you can see,
so let you see here.
Oh, go on,
there?
Eileen.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know how you'd gone then. We're just trying to find out here what approaches you might have used to, getting good health or weight loss that you might have used in the past, and then, like it says there, just tick all that apply to you, and then once the votes are in, we can share that then with everybody.
Great.
Excellent.
Well, good, over 70% voted now, so not many more. If you just click that button, and that'd be good.
Excellent. So what we've got here now is most of you general healthier eating and exercise include joining the gym, which is super, really good.
Brilliant.
Yep. Okay, and the next one, how effective were you in realizing your goals with the approaches previously used? So here we go. So good, bad, or indifferent. So again, how effective were you in realizing your goals with the approaches previously used? Good, bad, or indifferent? It's interesting. Good, we're nearly there. Fantastic, and thank you again for participating, taking part. Okay, I'm going to close that down now. So there we are, and here's the results of that one. So 55% good, 31% indifferent. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, interesting. Well, this is actually really good news, because a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is common sense. It sounds like a lot of people on this webinar have already tried exercise, healthier eating, they've joined gyms. So what I'm going to give you is something else for the toolkit, which really will turbocharge your results and your success. So that's really rewarding. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about winning the mental game of health. Now, as a chartered psychologist, this is my specialism. This is the thing that I really feel passionate about, because I think a lot of the work in the diets and dieting industry particularly completely ignores the mental game of health and weight loss. And yet it's like wealth creation. Unless you get the mindset right, the health isn't going to follow. And therefore what I want to do is I want to talk you through some of the key principles around living and winning the mental game of health. Now, as many of you will be aware, we as human beings have two basic sources of motivation. We're either motivated to avoid pain or to seek pleasure. Now, we like doing both of those things, and therefore inspiration and desperation really are your best friends. You know, at moments of desperation, you can literally turn your life around. And people listening to this may resonate with that. They think, yeah, I remember that time when I just said enough. Similarly, moments of inspiration are incredibly powerful. You know, that moment where you just get it, where you just have this sense that you're really on your game, you're on top of things, and you're inspired to achieve an end result. So it's really important to be aware that what you'll find is that avoiding pain often gets us started on the journey to health and weight loss and added vitality. But you need to be seeking pleasure. You need the towards motivation, in other words, in order to pick up the momentum. So the away from motivation, the avoidance of pain is often what gets us started. But unless you start to add the pleasure-seeking motivation sources, then you won't be able to keep going. So what I want you to do, and I'd like you to do this while you're on this webinar, please, is to think about what might be your own unique and truly powerful reasons for getting healthy with the Alkaline Diet Success Formula. Because if you make this personal and specific to you, and you're clear about what those powerful reasons are, they will completely blow out the mitigating factors, the fact that life gets in the way. You know, somebody offers you that fantastic dessert. You can go down to the pub and have 3 more pints with your mates one night. You know, there's the formal function where you've got the choice between the sorbet or the very gorgeous but rich looking gâteau. Now, I don't want you to live a life of misery, but I do want you to be very clear about what you want. And if you define your own unique and powerful reasons, then you can be much more effective in winning this mental game of health. Now, to give you a specific example from my own life, my grandfather died of bowel cancer earlier than he should have done. Now, there is some evidence that that is diet and lifestyle related. And he lived in a part of the country, and he had information that, well, we don't, you know, we have access to much better information now. Now, I remember that happening. It was 20 years ago. It hit me very profoundly, and I became aware of the need to move away from that risk and mitigate that risk. So that was a powerful away from motivator for me. You know, I can feel the emotion with it now. You can almost feel it in the solar plexus if you get this right. And these are the powerful motivators and the powerful reasons that will move your life forward. Another one was that my relationship was in a mess. I wasn't enjoying my job. I lacked energy. I knew I had to get more energy. If I wanted to achieve the goals I wanted in life, I wasn't going to do it feeling the way I felt. And there's a phrase that I like to use: the habits and patterns that got you to where you are now won't get you to where you want to be. And therefore we are talking about conditioning some new habits and patterns. Even though it's very simple information, we're changing your daily routine, and therefore it's important that you have some unique and powerful reasons for wanting to do that. Otherwise life is going to get in the way, and you know that it does. You know, hence people join gyms in January, and by middle of February all the car parks are empty. So I'd just like you to write down 2 or 3 unique and truly powerful reasons, and you're going to have a chance to use those later on in this webinar. Very importantly, you probably heard about SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. If your health goals are SMART, you are much, much more likely to achieve them. So a SMART goal might be that I want to be able to run 5 miles comfortably by the time I go on holiday at the beginning of July with the family. That's SMART because it's specific. I want to be able to run 5 miles comfortably. I know that I can do it. It's easy. I feel good about doing it. It's measurable. We've got a date in place. It's achievable. If I'd said 50 miles, that might be a bit less achievable. It's realistic, and it's time-based. It's got a deadline on it. So get some SMART goals out there. Be clear about what it is you want to achieve. Be smart about it, and together with your powerful reasons, this is what will propel you towards winning the mental game of health and weight loss. The other thing that I often suggest to people, and this is particularly useful if you've got some weight to lose, find a favourite item of clothing that you would really love to get back into. Maybe that favourite pair of skinny jeans, or that halter neck dress if you're a lady, or that favourite pair of Levi's if you're a guy that really just don't look good anymore and that you don't feel right in. Hang them somewhere where you can see them every day, and that will again propel you or push you towards where you need to be. Or put a reminder somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Get your SMART goal and have it visibly with you. Very, very important as well in winning the mental game, because we are talking about changing habits and patterns, is to be accountable to somebody. Find a buddy, be accountable to your partner, find a coach, but have somebody hold you to this, because it's so easy for you to just slip back. And despite the fact that these principles are straightforward, you do need to have some accountability. And I guess Suzanne, you've probably got some sense of this. You know, you've got a lot of experience in this whole area, and the sense that people need to feel that they can bounce something off somebody else, that they can be accountable, they can get some support, don't they?
Absolutely. I think that if you've got any targets that you need to achieve, if you kind of set your own targets and you have really got yourself to talk to on a day-to-day basis, you're not going to have so much impact. But if you have someone else that you've said, I am going to X by, then when you talk to that person at whatever designated time that might be, you know, it could be days, it could be weeks, whatever you decide that goal needed to be achieved by, if you've got someone else, it's almost like that mad sort of frenzy, I must get this done. Because that person is going to ask me the questions, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that? And I'm also going to feel much prouder of myself if I can turn around. Let's say that you were my coach, Andrew, and I came to you and I said, you know, wow, I've done really well, I've lost a couple of pounds, or I feel so much more energetic, that I'm able to say that to you because I have carried out exactly what it is I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. I think this is really important, and you know, we haven't even come on to the alkaline diet, as some people think yet, but unless you win this game first, you aren't going to win the game with the mental game with the alkaline diet, which is why I think it's so crucial, because it's about changing those habits and patterns in small, simple ways, such that you never have to worry about this again. I mean, Eileen will be sharing her story later, but initially there are all sorts of objections and difficulties that people will bring up, which are all about winning the mental game. And the way I work with people is that we win the mental game first as we go, and then it makes the rest of it so much more straightforward.
Absolutely, I think it's key.
Fantastic. Okay, that's great. So I've given you some really clear ideas for how you can win the mental game of health. Do write down your own unique and powerful reasons. Do get your goals smart. Do hang that favourite item or that reminder out and get somebody to be accountable for, and I promise you it will turbocharge your results. So just before we go into the next section, we're going to ask a quick question here. I want to know how much water, and it says water in capitals because I mean water, not tea, coffee, fizzy drinks, alcohol, other things. How much water do you currently drink a day? And we're talking litres here, so I'll just pass it over to Suzanne Liley to run this quick one for us.
Okay, so there you see, you can see the questions there, how much water, and be honest with yourself as well. Sometimes I think that I've drunk a lot more than I actually have. So give us an idea of how much water you drink, that will be great. Okay, that's cool, you're all voting. I love this, you know. It makes
such fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Just in case you're all sitting back watching the football, I think, oh, I've got to do something now. Excellent. So loads of you have voted. Thank you very much once again. So I'm going to close that vote down. Thank you, guys and gals, as it were. And here is the result. So there you are. So what have we got? Roughly less than half a litre, half to 1 litre, and 1 to 2 litres. Approximately the same percentage there, Andrew.
I can't actually see those figures, Suzanne, so if you could just give them to me, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the figures there then, you've got 4% that don't drink any water. You have an equal share roughly an equal share of people that are drinking less than half a litre, half to 1 litre, and 1 to 2 litres. It's around about
Okay.
23 to 28% on that, and then those that
Right.
are drinking more than 2 litres is 18%. So what is that?
Okay.
What's that actually telling us?
Well, we're not doing too badly. Basically, the principle at play here is that unless you're drinking 2 to 3 litres of water, you're a stagnant pond, not a flowing river. And therefore, a lot of people listening to this call are in that situation. It's so basic, this, and yet the pharmaceutical industry doesn't make money selling you this information. Each one of the trillions of cells in your body needs water to provide it with basic electro energy. Now that is a really important piece of information, and if you are not giving your body 2 to 3 litres of water a day, you're just not giving your body, their body cells, that level of energy, electro energy they need. Now there is a health rider on this. You shouldn't be drinking more than 3-4 litres a day because the body needs a certain proportion of essential salts to work properly, and there have been stories of people drinking silly amounts of water and doing themselves no good at all. I'm not advocating that, but it is really important that you drink the right amount, and this is the true foundation for your alkaline diet success. You know, if you do one thing coming away from this call, you just do that, you will transform your health. I promise you. And yet it's harder to do than you think. And what happens is that many people are taking medication for symptoms that are just complications of dehydration. It's quite incredible. And Dr. Batman-Helgi has done a number of interviews with Tony Robbins, and if you listen to some of that stuff, which I can make available to you later on, you'll find that Dr. Batman-Helgi had some amazing healing experiences just using water when he was held captive as a prison doctor in the Far East. So this is so simple, but it's actually harder to drink 2 to 3 litres a day than you think. Or maybe some of you are saying, yeah, I know it is because I tried it once and I felt like I was drowning. Because what happens is your body gets used to being in an almost permanent state of dehydration, and therefore you don't crave water. But what happens is, if we're not drinking enough water, our thermostat sort of adjusts. Now, because the human body comprises 46 to 59 litres of water, you do need to replenish that during the course of a day, and you're going to lose 2 or 3 litres of water a day through perspiration alone. So you can immediately see that if you are not drinking 2 to 3 litres of water, you're on a slippery slope backwards. So if you be honest with yourself, as I hope you were when we asked you the question, you might now be thinking, right, okay, this is one thing I really have to start doing from now, is to start drinking 2 or 3 litres of water a day. And when you start to do it, I can say to you, you're going to visit the bathroom a bit more than you would otherwise have done so. And that's a good thing because you're actually flushing the toxins out of your system, which is going to really help your alkaline diet success.
I was going to ask you about that, Andrew, because I know that when I'm more conscious of drinking more water, I really do have to visit the bathroom more.
You will. You will.
So does that balance itself?
Yes, it does. What happens is the kidney and the bladder will strengthen. Kidneys and bladder strengthen so that you actually don't need to visit the bathroom as often. But look, isn't it worth a small price to pay for a lifetime of abundant health?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
realistically.
Absolutely,
I mean, you know, if you have to go a couple more times in the day than you would otherwise have done, then, you know, that is a very, very small price to pay. And I just urge anybody listening to this that this is a complete no-brainer. You have to put this into practice. Now, we could go into an awful lot of complications now about the quality of the water. You know, do you add pH drops to it? Do you buy a certain type of bottled water? You know what? I'm going to cut through all of that. Buy a water filter, install it at home into your kitchen tap, or wherever is the easiest place. It's the cheapest solution. You can even buy water filters that operate through jugs. It'll cost you pence.
Andrew, what about someone's actually made the comment or asked a question. What about drinking things like cordial? Can that be included in that?
No, I'd rather you didn't, because what happens is you're adding to the acidity of your bloodstream by doing that. We'll come on to that in a moment when we talk about alkalizing to add vitality. What water does is it's gently alkalizing. Now, if you get hold of a copy of the pH Miracle for Weight Loss, and I'm standing here looking at it, by Dr. Robert O. Young, who is a leading sort of exponent in this area, he's actually got several pages of alkaline-rich waters, and Evian happens to be one of the best ones. So if you fancy going out and buying a bottle of water, Evian actually has a pH of well into the alkaline range, and therefore it will give you a kickstart. So you're not just getting well hydrated, you're actually beginning to alkalize the system and move towards that balanced body chemistry that I'll be talking about in a moment. But no, I'd rather you didn't do cordials. What you'll find is your taste buds will change and adapt, and you'll actually start to crave water. Because as your body starts to rehydrate, it's like a sponge soaking up the water, and it gets healthy, and it starts to demand more. And you'll find that you actually feel thirsty more often, which is slightly paradoxical, but I can promise you that that's what you experience. And I think that's what Eileen experienced, wasn't it, Eileen, when you started doing this?
Yeah, oh sorry, I just have to unmute myself there. I'm just looking at some questions. There's quite a few questions coming in about this whole this whole issue about people finding it difficult to drink more water. I mean, I was drinking about 2 litres, I think, when I started. I know I was drinking that much because I used to have a big sort of 2-litre bottle, so I know I was drinking that much. But what I do, some of the things, I understand what some people are saying when they're out and about and they need the toilet. I sort of, sometimes I drink more at certain parts of the day, but it is something that does get used to, and I don't think there's any reason not to. And it can be a little bit difficult. And there's quite a few questions coming in about this, and I think we'll answer some of those later on towards the end.
I just start to put a rider on all of this, is that we are the sum of our choices. And you know, you make choices in different areas of your life, and you reap the rewards. And you know, what I would say to anybody listening to this is who's looking for difficulties is that, you know, you'll find them, they're there, but the reality is you can overcome them. And I can promise you that your skin tone will improve, your vitality, your energy. You'll need less sleep. You'll have better mental clarity. Just try it. And you know, if you don't believe me, try it for 10 days and then see what happens, and then judge for yourself by the results in your own body and your own mind. And you know, then I would say make your mind up. But until you've tried it, you really don't know. So I think,
like Eileen said, there's some really good questions coming through on this. And what we'll do, those of you that are asking these questions, we'll actually really talk about this in a bit more detail at the end, because some of the questions may be answered in what Andrew's going to share with you in the following slides as well. So keep them coming, definitely keep them coming, and it's brilliant.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. So we're going to move on to, we've talked about to know and not to do. We're going to move on to alkalizing to add vitality. Now, I suspect that this is probably the reason why many people signed up to this webinar. They've heard about this word, and it seems to be the latest craze in health. And what's it all about? And you know, they may have been blinded by science, may have read some of Dr. Robert O. Young's stuff, may have read some of the other stuff that's around on this. And you know, I think it can seem quite complicated. So this is the elementary school chemistry lesson here. And what we've got is the pH scale. Percentage hydrogen is the measure of the acidity or alkalinity of a solution. And what we've got there is we've got a scale from 0 to 14. And if we go to right to the left-hand side, the yellow end, which is 0, that is so acid it will burn a hole in steel. And at the other end, we've got ultimate alkalinity, 14. Neither of those extremes are good. Now, what we need to be aiming for is a blood pH, in other words, a percentage hydrogen blood pH of 7.365. That is optimally healthy. Now, you'll notice on a scale of 0 to 14, that is marginally alkaline. Now, many people are very close to the middle, and you can see that 7 equals death. Acidosis equals death. Our bodies actually acidify when we die. Now, when I first came across this, I was blown away, because all of a sudden you've got an explanation for many of the health issues that people are facing. You know, we're looking down the wrong end of the telescope here, because what happens is that the germ is nothing, the terrain is everything. I was in a dentist's waiting room this morning, and having incidentally the last of my mercury amalgam fillings out, because obviously I don't want that toxicity left in my system, and there was a notice up there talking about the flu virus, and it was an NHS poster, and it said, catch it, bin it, kill it. The point is, if that's your view of the world, then you'll get every germ that's going. The point is, if you clean up your terrain, in other words, you clean up the water in the fish tank in which you swim around in, then you don't need to worry about the germs. The germs are there. The germs will always be there. And this is how you clean up your terrain. And for those of you who've listened to the interview with Phil Richards that I sent out when you signed up for the call, you'll hear Phil talking about this. And we were sharing this whole idea that you don't need to worry about the germs when you get the terrain right. And that's a Really, really key point. And that's what we're going to be doing here. I'm going to be showing you very simply how you get into that right level of 7.36, 7.365. Now, some of you may be thinking, right, I better rush out and buy some pH strips, or I better go to the doctor and get a blood test and see where I'm at. You don't need to do that. I would just say pay attention to how your body is feeling, your energy levels, and you will know when you are becoming gradually more alkaline. Now I say this is all about balance. It really is all about balance. So the first stage was all about properly hydrating, but what you then need to do is, having built that hydration foundation, is to simply start eating more alkalizing foods and drinking more alkalizing drinks and consuming less acidic foods and drinks, and that will help you to achieve this balance. Now the good news is you don't have to be perfect. You know, I meet so many people who I work with in the health and weight loss area who just feel they've got to be completely perfect. And you know, we had some discussions around this, Eileen and I, right at the beginning when we started working together in the middle of December, that you know, some of us have been conditioned to believe that if you make one mistake, you know, you have one alcoholic drink, you have one chocolate, it's all gone wrong. I'm here to tell you that you can still eat chocolate, you can still drink alcohol. You won't want to do it in the same amounts when you start to make these changes, because your taste buds will adapt, but it is all about balance. And I'm hoping that many of you listening to this thinking, well, that's a relief, so I don't have to completely give up, you know, my favorite tip or whatever it is. No, you don't, but you will want to consume less of it. Now, I have a secret ingredient for you. This really is the Holy Grail. And this is something that Eileen has used to great effect. You go to Holland & Barrett or any other health food shop where you can get this on the internet, Google wheatgrass. It's a powder. I'm sitting drinking some now. In fact, I'm going to have a quick slug. It is so alkalizing. It's just energy in a bottle. It's basically, I'm sitting here with a litre of water with a sachet of wheatgrass mixed in with it, and I have 2 of these a day. Now if you started off with 1 a day, 1 of these sachets, it's about 20 UK pounds for 30 sachets, so we're talking about sort of 75 pence a sachet, well under the price of a cup of coffee. It will change your life if you start to do it every day, but again, it's small, simple. And I think, you know, when I talked to Eileen about this to start with, and said, right, okay, let's start on the wheatgrass, Eileen, there was a little bit of, oh, I don't like the taste of it, it's not too good. So one of the things that we did was I actually asked Eileen to have half of the sachet in a litre of water in the morning, and have the other half of the sachet of wheatgrass in a litre of water in the afternoon. And now, Eileen, if you're able to unmute, you're actually craving this stuff, aren't you?
So yeah, I know. I mean, it actually made me feel physically sick when I was first drinking. I thought, oh God, I can't bear it. I just couldn't bear the taste of it. And as you know, we did have quite a number of conversations about this. And I know you said to me about how you crave it, and I just thought, well, there's just no way. There's just no way this is going to be happening. It just won't. And so I did dilute it, and like you said, and persevered with it. But I don't think I could have. I don't know. I knew it was going to be so good for me. And it wasn't completely terrible. It's just it didn't make me feel very good. But it's probably because it was something that I wasn't used to, obviously.
Sure.
And so I did persevere with it. And actually, it was very, very quick. Where I was able to, I think one morning I forgot that I was going to have half a sachet, put a whole sachet in, and it didn't. It tasted fine. And I've been drinking that every day. So I always have mine first thing in the morning, my wheatgrass. And brilliant. I can't believe now when I drink it, I don't feel there's any taste at all to it. So I can't believe how the taste seemed so bad at the time. But yeah, I mean, I love it.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. I mean, this really is the fastest way to get your blood pH into the mildly alkaline range, and you certainly won't have to give up eating and drinking everything that you've grown to do. Which just brings me on to the acid forming and the alkaline forming foods. I'm going to speed up a bit here because time's marching on. So you may not be surprised to see some of those things on the left hand side. You know, there's a lot of evidence that red meat's not good for us. You know, dead animal protein in quantity, not something I want to consume a lot of. And red meat has gone out of my diet now. I don't eat red meat. The occasional glass of alcohol, fine, but I think what you're going to find is that you want less of it. Alcohol is the product of decay. There is no getting away from that. It also kills brain cells. Now, I don't know about you, but I need all the ones I can get, so I will limit my consumption of alcohol quite significantly. Eggs, organic free range, fine in moderation, but again, you should be eating too much in the way of eggs, sugars, cheese and dairy. No great surprises there. And you know, you're probably thinking, well, I know this stuff. I know green vegetables are good for me. I know I should be eating more salads. Did you know that avocado was God's butter as defined by Robert O. Young? It really is a superfood. Similarly, olive oil. Now, The interesting thing about fruits is some fruits are alkalizing and some are acidifying. If you buy bananas, for example, and you eat them slightly underripe, then they're actually alkaline forming. If you wait till they've gotten spotty and dark and sort of brown, then they're acid forming. So you need to do your research on this, and I'll help you through that later on in the process. But there's a lot more information out there about acid forming and alkaline forming foods, and I'm going to share a lot more with you through the end of this process. So it's all about balance. You don't have to be perfect, as I said before, and if you consume the water, if you consume the wheatgrass, your taste buds will do the work for you, because they'll shift you over to the right hand side, so that about 80% of what you do is on the right and about 20% is on the left, and then you really are on the road to great health, abundant energy, and all the other benefits that we started to talk about earlier. So I'm going to move on to step 4. Now, this blew me away when I started doing my research for the AV diet, and I realized that actually many people defined aging as the accumulation of acid waste in the body. Now, isn't that fascinating? Wouldn't you like to be able to turn back the body clock? Well, here's your way of doing it. Because actually, if you start to alkalize to get healthy, you can literally reverse the aging process, if not delay it. It's quite remarkable what this can do, and there's a lot of evidence, a lot of research out there. I don't want to go into the detail on free radicals and antioxidants. I'll save that for later. But basically, it is all about the accumulation of acid waste, and as I say, our bodies acidify when we die. Therefore, you do need to reduce your intake of things that create acid. And I hate to tell you, but caffeine is not good. It's used as a rat poison, it's a toxin. Your body pays more attention to the removal of toxins from its system than it will ever do to the removal of fat and weight. So if you've got some weight to lose, then caffeine reduction is one of the places to start. People say to me, well, there's no calories in a cup of coffee if you don't have milk. Well, I'm sorry, it's the toxins that aren't good. You don't have to stop it, just need to cut it down a bit. I touched on alcohol. Your taste buds will change. And I think Eileen would agree with that, Eileen, because we talked about this quite a lot at the beginning, didn't we, and how alcohol is fine for you now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but I mean, I didn't drink alcohol every day, but one thing I did have every day was a cup of coffee. That was my first drink of the day, and maybe 2 or 3 drinks. I didn't drink coffee all day long, but I did have coffee first thing in the morning, and so that was, for me, I thought I'll stop it, and I've actually had, I think, 1 cup of coffee, and that's my 12 weeks is up tomorrow, in 12 weeks, and now the smell of it, I just can't bear it, and anyone who knows it, there are some people on the line that do know me, coffee was my drink. It wasn't like a tea or anything, and it was a cup of coffee, and now I'll quite happily go without it, but even if I smell a cup of coffee, go past a coffee shop, I actually don't like the smell of it now. So my taste really has changed that way, where the first thing I have in the morning is my wheatgrass, my water, etc., and coffee just doesn't bother me at all. When I go out for people say, I'll have a cup of coffee, but what my drink will be is a herbal tea.
Yeah, I mean, this is fantastic. I talk to people about their taste buds changing, and they look at me in disbelief, and to some extent there was an element of suspended disbelief with you, wasn't there? But when you rang me and told me I just had to throw a cup of coffee away, I said, I told you that would happen, didn't I?
Yeah, and actually someone just come up saying about they gave up caffeine last week for a couple of days, and they felt tired, headachy, but this week it feels so much better. That's Leanne, and that was the same for me, really. You know, when I'll talk about it a bit later, I'll tell you about some of the effects I had and what happened there. So I'll talk about that in a little while.
No, that's brilliant, because what's happening there is your body is resisting letting go of the toxins, and it creates flu-like symptoms. And you experience some of this. Virtually everybody does when they go on a detox too quickly, which is why I'm saying you've got to do it gently. So if you're drinking 5 cups a day, you cut it down to 2, then to 1, then go to decaf, and then go to a herbal tea. You don't go from 10 to 0 because you will get the flu-like symptoms. It's what happens, because the body is saying, no, I need this stuff. I've grown to rely on it.
Can I just ask you a question, Andrew, because it's been asked several times. What about caffeine-free coffees and teas?
I'm not big on that because the decaffeination process is pretty toxic in itself. You know, you won't need the taste of it when you start to make these changes because your body will resist it. Your body will say, no, I don't want that anymore. The only reason you've grown to like it is because you've got used to being in an almost permanent toxic state. And I don't want to overemphasize this and alarm people, but we do live with such high levels of toxicity in our diet and lifestyle. And anybody who's been on a sort of major detox will know how good it feels to cleanse out the system, and that for a while you don't want to start introducing it again. But the way I look at detoxing is, imagine you're cleaning your house. You wouldn't clean your house once a year. Well, many of the bachelors listening possibly do, but the fact is that you keep it reasonably clean. You know, you do a weekly clean-up, you maybe even tidy the paperwork away every day, otherwise you're living in a pit. Why would you do that with your body? Why would you wait till after Christmas to go and rid yourself of these toxins, when with some simple changes like what we're talking about here, you can actually detox as you go through your life. It's so much easier, and the benefits are so much more profound.
Excellent. And can I also ask you another question? I mean, we're asking you lots of questions here, Andrew.
Great.
But you know, we've really generated a lot of interest in this.
Good.
If I wanted to find out how acid or alkaline my body is, how do I do that? How do I actually find out in the first place?
Okay. Your body will tell you. Are you suffering a lot of stress? How's your sleep pattern? Have you got skin complaints? Have you got ailments? Are you feeling irritable? You don't need to go to the doctor to get a blood test. I can tell you that if you're consuming the typical Western diet, you're going to be acidic. It's a done deal. And if you're consuming the sort of things that we're looking at here, you're going to be acidic. Right. Therefore, you need to start to move it back into balance. And I've got a lot more information I can share, but I simply don't have the time to share it now. But it is about gradual transition, and your body will do the work for you. You won't have to fight it mentally. And I think this is why I struggle with diets, because people put themselves in this terrible psychological place. You don't need to when you make the small, simple, easy changes.
Yeah, sure. Brilliant.
Okay, so artificial sweeteners, fizzy drinks, this is a big one. I could go on this for hours. If you drink diet sodas, you're actually doing more harm than if you drink the full leaded version. That's the reality, because the toxins in the diet varieties are more severe than sugar. Now, sugar's not good, but there's some of those artificial additives are banned in certain countries. I'm not going to mention names, but you know which they are. And if you look at the people who are drinking them, they tend to be more overweight and unhealthy than the people who don't drink diet fizzy drinks. So stay off them, please.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. Yeah.
Similarly with processed foods, so things that come in cans, pre-packaged, they've got preservatives because they have to prolong the shelf life. It's those preservatives that contain the toxins, and when you start to gradually eliminate those toxins from your system, you really will see the difference. And any additives, I talked about artificial sweeteners, anything that's artificial is not good. We're talking about returning to the sort of lifestyle that we were actually designed to operate within. Our Stone Age bodies, which we still inhabit, existed on a very different diet and a very different lifestyle than most of us actually exist on today. And so I'm simply asking you to return back to your roots a little bit more. You don't have to give up everything that's in the Western diet and lifestyle, but if you start to pay attention to some of the more natural stuff, it really will work for you.
If I can just come in there with one thing, Andrew, just about the manufactured foods and things and taste buds. I mean, I can say that in the last matter of weeks I've been doing it, and my husband often buys these small little butterscotch mousse things from Tesco's, and I know I used to really like having one now and again, and the other day I thought, well, I have one of those. I haven't had any one for weeks and weeks and weeks, and actually as I started eating it, first of all I wasn't sure about the smell. I thought, no, I know I like these, so I started eating it, but it was like eating something that wasn't real. And actually when I sit and think about it, it's like, well, it isn't. It's a manufactured product from these artificial things that it never entered my head before. So 12 weeks ago when it entered my head, but this week it did, and that's how the changes do come about very, very quickly. So now when I look at that in the fridge, I've got no desire to have that now, because
and you're not having to fight a mental battle with the contents of the fridge anymore, are you, Arnie?
That's exactly it. You don't have to worry about it, because it's not what you're drawn to. I'm not drawn to that now. I'm drawn to the other things. That's how that's happened.
Yeah. And that takes a bit of getting your head around, because people listening to this probably think, do me a favour, I love my caffeine, I love my alcohol, I love my fizzy drinks, my processed foods. When you start to get healthy at the cellular level, and you can see your blood cells under a microscope, when they're healthy, they've got good, solid, defined boundaries, they don't clump together, that blood flows through your arteries. If you get healthy at the cellular level, you don't need to worry about all of these silly things going on in your life. You will eliminate them.
Yeah.
And the final step that I want to share with you, and this is probably a bit surprising to some people, thoughts can be acidic, if you think back to a situation where you've maybe had an argument with somebody, you might have actually felt an acid feeling in the stomach. You know, what you think is probably one of the most important aspects of your lifestyle. And Phil Richards, whom I have an awful lot of regard for, and again, some of you who listen to this interview, talks about, you know, when he works with the world's top sports people, Premiership footballers, rugby players, at the very, very top level, international level, he starts with their thoughts, then he goes into what they drink, and only then does he go into what they eat. So unless you get what you think right, you're fighting a difficult game already. Thoughts can be acidic. You remember I talked about the word dietos, how you live your life, how you think, what you eat, what you drink. So daily meditation will change your life. Now, every practitioner who contributed to the movie, the audio, The Secret, practices daily meditation. That's no accident. These people have put the law of attraction into their life in a very powerful way, small, simple changes every day. You only need to do 15 minutes. I actually saved my 15 minutes up till about 7:15 tonight so that I could come on this call really centered, really clear. And I used something called Abraham Hicks, getting into the vortex. Now, you use whatever form works for you, and I'm not insisting you meditate. I'm just saying that you find a way of being with yourself for a small amount of time every day, 15-20 minutes, that's all you need, but you will be amazed at the results. And I tell you what, it's changed my life, and I'm not having to fight battles in the rest of my life because my mind is clear, I'm focused, I'm centered, but more than that, I've got this abundant energy and health because I'm not resisting who I really am. And those of you who use Abraham Hicks will understand what I mean by that, but it really is a great program. There's another lady who may be on the call, Chrissy White, who has a wonderful meditation CD, wonderful meditation MP3, which I've used for quite a lot of months, got a great benefit from Chrissy White's work. Find a form of meditation or relaxation that works for you. And again, you know, this is the habit changes coming into place. People may be thinking, oh, how am I going to do that? I've got the kids to get out in the morning. I've got this, I've got that. If it's important to you, you'll make it happen. Now, I've said nothing about sensible daily exercise. That's another chapter. I could talk to you about that. It's another thing I've done today. I've had a bike ride so that I was very clear. I was energized. I shall sleep better for that. I just feel more energetic through the day. I use my exercise in the morning. It gives me energy all day. Paradoxically, when you exercise, it actually adds to your energy and vitality. When you talk to people like Mark, Anastasia, and others, they all do this. They've all embodied some form of physical daily exercise and all the benefits that go with it. So we've heard a little about Eileen's success already, but these pictures are really quite dramatic, aren't they? Those were 3 weeks apart, weren't they, Eileen? The first one on the left was on the 15th of December.
Okay, that's the first 15th of December. That's the date embedded in my head now. And I know I've got different hairstyle in the other one because my hair goes between curly and straight, but first of all, I took more pride in what I was doing, what I was looking like, but also you can see the changes in, say, my face. And what a lot of people were noticing was the change in my eyes. And I think when I look at that picture, I can see that difference. But I hadn't noticed the difference in my face so much until I actually took that picture. And I was doing the a weekly video update, and I took the stills from those updates. And it was then when I was doing the update that I could see myself, the change that happened. That was just in 3 weeks.
That's amazing. When I saw you after you've been doing it for 3 weeks, I couldn't believe how much you changed.
It is amazing. It is amazing. I think that what you did was you put into practice the 5 steps that we've just talked about. You didn't come up with a load of excuses. You just got on with it, and you reaped the rewards. 3 weeks is nothing. 3 weeks to turn your life around. And we talked about all the challenges, the approaches that you tried before that hadn't worked. You'd felt scarred by some of that, and yet within 3 weeks you had created a path which you'll never go back down. And it's just so wonderful to see somebody transform their life in that way in such a short space of time. So what we're saying is this doesn't have to take a long time. If Eileen can do that in 3 weeks, so can anybody listening to this. And the way you felt, your energy, your confidence, your ability to focus on your work, your productivity, and ultimately your financial rewards are so much better as a result of following this, aren't they?
What people need to remember, when I started on the 15th of December, of course, when this was taken, this was like into the New Year, so I'd been through Christmas and New Year as well, and
Of
Christmas and
course.
New Year was still a bit difficult before me because I was still new into the alkalising, of course, you know, still a Christmas dinner and everything, so it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't 100% alkalising because I was still getting used to the programme and had that tricky period. Christmas and New Year's tricky at any time, let alone when I'm just sort of a couple of weeks into the programme. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were still living a life, you know, you hadn't outsourced the rest of your life, you were
No,
still
no, yeah.
existing on this planet with the rest of us. I mean, you know, so many people come up with excuses that oh, I can't do this because the timing's not right. You didn't. You said, right, I'm going to start it on the 15th of December. I know it's Christmas, but you still had a great Christmas and New Year, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's the point. If you'd waited till the middle of January, you'd have been a stone heavier and that much further back. So
Yeah.
it really is incredible. And
That's,
here we go.
I'm quite ashamed of these, oh my God.
I know you are, but you shouldn't be now.
God.
You shouldn't be. This is you on the left as we started back on the 15th of December, when those jeans that you were pulling out were pretty snug fit, weren't they?
They really were. They definitely. I was really ready to go to the next size up. Yeah, which is just too embarrassing for words. And
I just think you should be so proud of those results in 12 weeks. What's 12 weeks, 3 months? I mean, you know, to turn your life around in 3 months in a way that you know, it's quite remarkable. I think you deserve a huge amount of credit.
And do you know what I love about it as well? I mean, Eileen's my business partner anyway, but I love the fact that you've encouraged her to do it healthily. And it is a lifestyle change. It's not just a flash in the pan diet where you restrict yourself from everything that you love, everything that you enjoy, which then creates cravings for those things that you're denying yourself. Eileen can still have what she wants in moderation, and she's still lost all of this weight, and it is something that you'll maintain for your life, Eileen, won't it?
yeah, and it's still ongoing. I'm not at my goal yet, so I'm still ongoing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is brilliant.
It's brilliant. Yeah.
It is brilliant.
Can I just say, loads of people are saying, "Wow, you look amazing!
Oh.
Congratulations! Woo!"
Oh, it's terrific, actually. It really
Thank
is.
you, everyone. Thank you.
So we've been through the 5 steps to alkaline diet health and success. I've shown you some very simple things that you can do in terms of winning the mental game of health for life, proper hydration, alkalizing to add vitality, detoxing gently, and quietening your mind every day. If you've taken good notes, you take some of this away and you do it, I promise it will change your life. Now, I don't know if you can remember when you were back at school, just imagine a situation where the teacher at the beginning of term had piled a load of books on your desk and said, there you go, study that lot, I'll be back at the end of the year and we'll do the exam. How would you have felt about that? But how would you feel if you actually had somebody to work alongside you for the next 6 weeks who could actually take you through step by step the simple changes that you need to make? Now, I'm going to make you an offer now because I'm looking for more case studies. There are more people that I want to help. I want to help more people like Eileen, but this will not be for everyone. And I make that point very clearly right now. Because I want people who are 100% committed. If you're not committed, you'll find the excuses, you'll find the reasons, it won't happen. Now, despite the fact that what I've showed you is very simple, it does involve changing habits and patterns, and those habits and patterns have got you the results that you're currently enjoying. So if you want to get different results, you've got to change the habits and patterns. So I want to coach the people who are 100% committed in a webinar series over the next 6 weeks, hosted by Suzanne and Eileen. Now, we would normally charge $1,497 for that. I'm working with people over a 12-week period for £3,000 one-to-one. So you can see that that's a totally legitimate value that I put on that, because I will coach you for 6 weeks. Now, in addition to that, for the first 10 people that order this evening and then email me their 4 powerful reasons, and I'll give you the email address in a moment, I'm going to provide a one-to-one personal consultation, and that will genuinely turbocharge your results. Now, the reason I can only do it for 10 people is that my time is strictly limited. I don't want to be doing one-to-one consultations for the rest of my life, but I want to work with the people who are truly committed, who are able to make decisions, and who are ready to go with this right now, because those are the ones that are going to make it happen. Those are the ones who are going to be great testimonials, and we're going to have such a wonderful journey together. Now, I charge £249 for a one-to-one consultation. You're going to get that included in what I'm about to offer you. So as I say, clients pay me £3,000 for 12 of those sessions, so that's the genuine value on one-to-one session with me. Now, if you want to be one of the first 10, you need to make a note of this email address. It's andrew@advitality.com, and I want to see your powerful reasons. I want your 4 powerful reasons to that email address at the same time as you order, and I will work with you one-to-one if you're one of the first 10 people to order and send me your powerful reasons, which is why, as I say earlier, I was wanting you to give some serious thought to those. Plus, I'm going to give you lifetime access to my Alkaline Diet Vault. I have a website, a membership site at advitalityforlife.com, where you'll be with a great peer group. Now, one of the challenges that people often have around this is that their current peer group doesn't support them in terms of the small, simple changes that they're making. I see this time and time again. You're going to have an inbuilt peer group here that is going to be supporting you, is going to be helping you, holding you accountable, and all the rest of it, as well as me holding you accountable. But not only that, in there you've got videos, you've got audios, you've got my ebooks, you've got articles, you've got all the information you need to put the alkaline diet into your daily life and start to reap the sort of rewards that Eileen is reaping now. Plus, we're going to give you lifetime access to the recordings from our Alkaline Diet Success Formula series. Plus, you're going to get lifetime access to my expert interview vault. Now, I'm going to be emailing you all my video interview with Mark Anastasi, but you will also receive an audio interview with Mark, a Ross Bridgeford interview. He's the Energize for Life guy based in Melbourne, Australia. We did a fantastic interview together a couple of weeks ago. Laura Wilson, who some of you may know from alkalinediettips.com. Phil Richards, an amazing, amazing guy. Welshman through and through. He's got some great stuff to say, and if you haven't listened to the call that I've already sent you from Phil, you really should listen to that. It's just life-changing. Adam Eason, who's a very, very competent hypnotherapist in this area too, and of course myself, plus many other people, so you get lifetime access to that information. Now, this genuinely is life-changing in a box. And if you add up the total value of all of those things, so we've got 6 weeks webinar series, 1497, a one-to-one consultation if you're in the first 10, and I've explained how to do that, 249. Lifetime access to Add Vitality for Life with your peer group and all the information you need, 197. 2 bonuses at 47 each. That adds up to a total value of £2,037. Now, tonight only, for those who are serious about their health, we have got a seriously silly offer for you, because I want to work with people who are truly committed, who are ready to make this happen in their life. I'm going to do all of this for £147. £147. So if you're one of the first 10, you need to get onto this link straight away and order now and send your powerful reasons to andrew@advitality.com. So in order to order, you need to go to the alkalinedietexperts.com/coaching, and if you're one of the first 10, you'll get a one-to-one consultation with me, so it really is a no-brainer.
Wow, I can't believe that, Andrew. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. £147. Thanks for that, Andrew. We'll actually chat some more to you, because we've had some brilliant questions. But can I just say that out again for you? It's the alkalinedietexperts.com/coaching. That's where you need to go to. And in fact, Eileen's just typed that in the chat box for you, so you can literally copy and paste that. We'd love to see you all on the series of webinars. And in fact, Andrew, when are we starting with the series of webinars for everyone?
We're going to be starting a week on Thursday.
Right.
So that's the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
And that'll be at 8 p.m. and that'll be 6 weekly webinars. Now, obviously, if you miss one for any reason, if you order quickly, you'll get onto the bonus and you'll be able to listen to the recording of that. So don't worry if you're out on the occasional Thursday, you'll still be able to catch up with all of that. But it starts a week on Thursday, the 17th of March at 8 p.m. UK time.
If I can just come in a little bit before we start asking some questions, and just to say a little bit about my thing. It's a bit like you, Andrew, when you were in that lift that day. I just got to a point when I just said I just can't do this no more. My coat wouldn't do up, and my clothes, I was just so heavy. And actually, when I got my I had it written down here, my BMI levels.
Yes.
When I started, my BMI was well over 30 point something, and I was in an obese range. and now I'm back down to about 26 something. So I'm still in overweight range. I still know I need weight to go, and that's happened in that 12 weeks. And like you say, I know it's not something that I've gone on for a few weeks and then I'll go back to normal. This is going to be normal for me now. And
Yes.
so I got to that point, and when I first spoke to you and heard about alkalizing, and well, I didn't know what it was, but it sounded too difficult. It sounded too complicated. I know it's like one of those old cliches, but it's one of those things. If I can do it, I know anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
Because I was used to that acidic lifestyle. I didn't know nothing about acidity and alkalizing. I just didn't, you know.
Well,
And,
you know, it's funny because when we first met, and I saw you with your arms folded, looking at me, talking about my approach, and I just thought, I'm not going to find it difficult to get through to you. But you, to be fair to you, you were actually very, very open-minded. And when I started to talk to you, when we had that first chat, you suspended your disbelief, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And look where it's got you. I mean, it is remarkable what can happen when we make some small, simple changes, but more importantly, we get our resolve right and we say, enough. I've had enough of this level of pain in this particular area of my life. I'm going to change it.
I know, yeah. And it wasn't even that, you know, some people might not have weight to lose. It wasn't even that. It was like very quickly I felt the energy levels. Like I said, rather than when I, you know, had to go for a walk or go to the gym or something like that, I used to say, oh my God, I've got to get myself to the gym. That was it was like an effort to do that. But I remember speaking to you on one of our calls after about 2 or 3 weeks. It was like I'd be sitting on the sofa, I'd be going, like edging to get up. I had to do something because I had energy I needed to get rid of, and that was an unseen thing. So even for people that maybe don't have weight to lose, it's the other things that come with that, you know. And I know it works out with healthy skin, and I mean I know we say you've addressed it as a no-brainer. For me, it really is a no-brainer because at 147 pounds, I know one of the things I also had at the very, very beginning was a very, very bad lower back pain.
Yeah.
And I'd get that, even if I was just standing up doing a little bit of washing up. And I knew it was to do with weight. I mean, you can see in them photos, all my weight was literally all round the middle. I've got slim arms and slim legs. But everything, I always said I was like one of them purple Ronnie cards, like a great big round bit in the middle and stick arms and stick legs. But that it was all in the middle. So I knew that was what it was. And after, you know, 2 or 3 weeks again, the back pain's gone. It's not come back. And I know it won't.
And a life without back pain, yeah, I mean, a life without back pain is a really very different life, isn't it? And maybe people listening to this who've got ailments, they've got issues which haven't shifted, you know, tried various drugs. When you get healthy at a cellular level, your body has this remarkable ability to heal itself. So look down the right end of the telescope, get healthy, and you will release those symptoms. And it really, there's been some such dramatic results with this. It's fantastic.
We've actually got a brilliant comment on the question. I don't even want to speak to. We've got Dr. Chris Packard, who says he's a healthcare practitioner. And he said, I'd certainly urge everyone listening who is not already in control of their health to take up the offer. This is very, very good and worthwhile. So I don't know if you want to speak to Chris, actually.
I think we should open the line. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Are you going to open it up, Eileen, or shall I?
I can do that.
I've got it here. Okay.
Hi, Chris. Maybe he hasn't got a mic, though.
No, he might not have. Hi,
I've
Chris.
unmuted you, Chris. I don't know if you can hear us or you can speak, maybe not. He might not have a microphone. Okay, but that was from Chris Packard, yeah. So thanks, Chris.
Like you said, he's a healthcare practitioner, and wow, that's just
sorry,
amazing.
Sorry,
he's here.
I was
Hello.
distracted there.
He's here.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Sorry, I'm trying to do 2 things at once.
Oh, the hazards have been on webinars.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Exactly.
But you've given us some loads of input there. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
That's all right. Yeah, so I just wanted to say to anyone that's been listening to this who has got any health challenges, I mean, 147 for everything you're offering, I mean, that's awesome. That really is stupendously good offer and totally worthwhile.
Well, I want to work with people who are ready to make this shift, and it's all about making the difference in people's lives. My purpose in life is to help people heal with love, using the principles that I've come across. And so there is no greater purpose for me than doing this. And, you know, it is so fulfilling to see people like Eileen changing their lives. So thanks for the feedback, Chris. That's brilliant.
No problem.
Brilliant.
Can I also check? Didn't we have another lady on who's actually started started with your program.
Tanya, yes, Tanya's probably listening to this now, and
Yeah.
Tanya's actually seen some amazing changes. You know, I won't go into the confidentiality issues, but basically,
Sure.
Tanya had some health challenges, and none of them had shifted as a result of, you know, lots of medical interventions and this, that, and the other. And in the space of 10 weeks, Tanya is living with more energy. Her skin is a lot clearer. Some of you may have seen her videos on Facebook, and you know, she's just moved her health onto another level, and it's so fulfilling to see people doing that with their lives, because you know, you can join a gym for 3 months for 147. You know, you could join Weight Watchers, you can join Slimming World, you can do something for 3 months, but will it change your life? Will it lead to those new habits and patterns? And my promise to you is that you work with me, it will, because I only work with people who I know will really make it happen, and that's what I want for you.
Well, just say we've got Richard Hill, who said he's in, he can't wait to get going, and Eva
Great.
Davis says she signed up. Paige has also emailed her reasons.
Great,
Yay.
well done, Eva, you're in. Right, you're in the 10.
Eva.
Brilliant, brilliant.
That's so good to hear. And great, Richard, glad to have you on board, mate. It'll be lovely to work with you.
Now, we've got a couple of minutes
loads
left,
more
and there were some
coming
questions. We might go some of the questions, and one of them was about somewhere. We've got so many questions, but I can't remember the exact wording, but it was to do with about red meat and getting protein.
Okay,
So,
let me hit this one on the head. This crops up a lot. In fact, I had the issue come up this morning with somebody who was talking to me. Red meat. We've been sold a bit of the myth by the meat industry, clever marketing, that we need red meat, particularly red meat, in order to enjoy good levels of protein. That protein is coming from a dead animal. It's not live energy. When you're consuming green vegetables, leafy greens, spinach, broccoli, the things that I was talking about on the alkalizing side of the equation, those things have live energy with them. And it's no accident that Tony Robbins calls the fourth day of his seminar living health, because you need to be consuming those foods that are giving you energy. Dead red meat doesn't, in terms of the live energy. Now, it does contain some protein, it does contain iron. One of the things I haven't talked about is supplementation. One of the supplements that everybody listening to this should take is a good quality omega-3. And when I say good quality, if you listen to the interview with Phil Richards, he'll tell you exactly which one to take. I won't mention the name now, but it's one that's high in antioxidants. And you know, he puts it so beautifully. He says that we used to eat this in our diet, and it's what helped us to move from dumbass to smartass. That's the way that Phil Richards talks as a species. But it's true. If you feed your brain the healthy omega-3s, you will be so much more effective. I haven't even touched that now. There's so much more I want to share with you. I just haven't had time to talk it through.
Well, do you know, actually, you just touched on that, Andrew, and it was one of the questions that Lorna asked, and, you know, great, guys, thank you so much for asking all these brilliant questions. She was asking about nutritional supplements, and obviously you've touched on that, can't expand on it too much more, but hopefully, Lorna, that's sort of given you a feel for
what I would
for
say
what
is
Andrew's
somebody
thoughts are about it.
wants protein, eat more fish. There's a lot of protein in vegetables, but again, the meat industry won't tell you that. You're going to get enough protein if you eat a sensible, balanced diet without eating large amounts of red meat. Take an iron supplement if you feel you might be slightly anemic, just help you through the first 3 weeks. You don't need red meat in your diet to be healthy. It's we bought the whole pup.
Yeah, if I could just go back to some of the water questions, just if I can amalgamate quite a lot of them into one sort of question. I mean, a lot of the water thing was about running to the loo and things like that, but also a lot of people was asking about or mentioning the fact that they're told that when they eat more raw foods or that, there's water in that, but the actual water is separate to that.
It is indeed. Yeah, that's not part of your 2 to 3 litres a day, but it's all grist to the mill, because the more water you can be consuming in your foods, the better. It will get straight into your blood supply, get straight into that energy. Remember, we're all talking about wanting more energy. This is how you do it. You don't eat too much red meat. You exist on live energy foods. And you know, I'll talk you through in depth more of those and how you can do it, all the recipes, all the detailed foods that you can eat. It's not hard, but most of us have just got into the old habits. We buy certain things, we put certain things in the trolley every week at the supermarket, and we just got to change that.
And Dawn made a comment that she told her she was up in her water intake, then had problems with having to get up in the night getting caught out during the day. When she told her doctor, he said, well, drink less then.
Well, unfortunately, let me say something here. Most doctors have probably spent a day or half a day on nutrition in 5 years at medical schools. The only thing that makes any difference to your health at the cellular level over a period of time is what you put into your body. And I find it quite staggering that the medical model, unfortunately, that we're talking a little bit wrong end of the telescope. We have got to work on prevention, not just cure. And if we worked on prevention, our national health system will cost an awful lot less. There are doctors out there. I know some great doctors who work in a holistic way. The fact is there is so much information out there. You've got to be able to wade through the clutter and the misinformation, and that's what I will help you to do over the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, and all I can say as well myself is, I mean, I was brought up eating, you know, I was 50 last year, so I've been brought up for 50 years from when I could eat solid food in a family that we always had meat. That was our traditional food, meat and veg. That's what we had. And so I've gradually stopped eating the meat since this, and I just feel so much better. So for anyone worried about that, I wouldn't worry about that, because I am getting my protein and all my other nutrients from other sources, and I just feel fantastic. So
one thing we haven't touched on tonight is food combining, and I'll talk a lot more about that in the 6-week series. That when we combine foods like proteins and carbohydrates together, we create this acid-alkaline war in the stomach, and we talked a lot about that, Eileen, in relation to you and your nutrition and lifestyle, and how much better you feel when you actually separate those two things in different meals. It just, you know, it doesn't have to be difficult, but when you do it, you really experience the benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I just say that let me see, I just saw a comment come up that I thought was great. Again, thank you so much to Dr. Chris Pickard. He's saying that even Arnie Schwarzenegger has said there is enough protein in broccoli, so we need no meat for protein.
Do you know, broccoli is a superfood. I haven't talked calories. I won't talk about calories on this program, but the fact is broccoli is a negative calorie food, because it requires more energy to absorb it and use it than it adds calories. So it's a superfood, and I'll share with you all the other superfoods as well. Loads of them.
I can't tell you enough. This is so exciting because people are really starting to share their stories, and thank you. Nebraska is saying here that there was an addiction. He had an addiction to meat about 3 months ago, and just ate veggies, legumes, pulses, fruits and nuts, and my whole life changed significantly. I found out that I was addicted to meat, and today I can't consume it at all.
Yeah, I think this is amazing what you hear from people when they have the courage to try this stuff out. Now, I'm not saying you'll never eat meat again. I occasionally eat a bit of chicken. I won't eat much red meat now, but if I go to somebody's house and it's all on offer, I'm not going to be awkward and faddy. But the point is, it's all about balance, and when you get the balance right, you don't have to be perfect all the time, as I said so many times.
Yeah. We've got so many questions, and like we said at the beginning, you know, we've tried to answer and try and combine some that we had similar ones, and what we'll do, Andrew, in the next sort of couple of days, we'll get to answering all these questions, and everyone will get an email, so every single question that has been typed in the question box will be answered, and everyone will get the whole list of the whole Q&A. So all the questions that have been asked, we just can't go through with all of it.
And also, I noticed there, Eileen and Andrew, that there are some very personal, specific questions that are coming up. And again, Andrew can't address all those specific questions until he talks to you on a one-to-one, or you come in on the webinars. And remember that that's the link. Again, just to remind you, we are still showing it on the screen. The alkalinedietexperts.com/coaching. We've got loads of people that are already booked on, and some of these questions that you're asking, guys, will really be addressed when and if you're lucky enough to get into the first 10 for your one-to-ones. And indeed, actually, a lot of these questions will be addressed on each of these 6 webinars that are coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting when I work with people, and you hear their stories, you hear their challenges. There are some patterns that emerge, and I think that one of those is around the mental game. Another is around peer group challenges. Another is around, you know, my doctor's told me this, I've tried that, and there's a sense of sort of, you feel a bit limp, you feel numb, you feel nothing else is going to work. when you do this, it will work because your body is actually designed to be in balance. It's a wonderful system when you feed it the right nutrients. And I can coach you through that process. It's not rocket science, but you do need a little bit of support, you need a bit of accountability, and you need a reason to do it.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
And like you said earlier, one of the things you said earlier was so pertinent about, you know, you didn't say it this way, I'm not sure who this phrase has come from. If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you'll always get what you've always got. And it's the same thing. Like if you keep doing the same habits and behaviours, nothing's going to change. And
it's not, and I think this is where the desperation or inspiration comes in. You know, Tony Robbins has this wonderful story. You know, if a wagon's coming down your rut, then get grateful because you know when you get disturbed, things happen. It's the first phase of the change process that he talks about. Get disturbed, and if you're disturbed enough to take action, you'll make it happen. You were, Eileen. You know, other people
exactly. Yeah.
And also you were saying there about the sort of mindset. There's also challenges that we face by having different sources of information, different ideas about such things. And all I can say is that, you know, at £147, which is not going to last this price, by the way, it really isn't going to last. At £147, my God, you just got to try it and see if it works for you. You know, and the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. Excuse the very bad pun.
No. But the thing is, if people follow it, it will work because.
Well, it's a done deal.
It is done. Yeah.
It's you know, this is simple, holistic, time-held principles that you know the Ayurvedic tradition of India has known about acid-alkaline nutrition for thousands of years. But it's all got lost in the mist of time. The Germans and the Austrians have picked it up, but it just hasn't got any traction until people like Tony Robbins and Dr. Robert O. Young start talking about it, and then everybody's interested. But yet there is still so much misinformation out there.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay, we've got a few more people that are telling us that they've placed their order. Brilliant. If you want to know if you're in your 10, we'll actually confirm that with you tomorrow.
Yes,
okay,
I need
so
to check my
inbox.
inbox.
Yeah, exactly. Until we go back and check, we won't know for sure. But quite a number of you have said, am I in the 10? There's loads of you that are coming through, and we really won't know until we check. But thank you so much for placing your orders. And, you know, between all of us, we're going to build up relationships with you, which is even better. So that's fantastic.
We will. And personally, I'm really looking forward to working with those of you who've signed up because I know that I can help you change your life. If you're at a stage at crossroads now, brilliant. We've met at the right time.
Good. Brilliant.
Fantastic. And Andrew, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I'd just like to say thanks so much for everybody who's taken the time and the trouble to be on this call. It's 9:45, so we've been on here, you know, an hour and 3/4. It's great to have you on. I wish you a lifetime of health and vitality and energy. You owe it to yourself. So every success, and I do hope that you'll use what I've told you tonight, put it into practice, make it happen, and change your life.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
and Eileen, is there anything that you want to add?
Well, just to say that, you know, Andrew has given loads of good information that people can take away from now anyway. And if you only take one thing away from it, I would say drink 2 to 3 litres of water a day and get round the fact of things. It's just something you have to get over.
Just do it.
So,
just get over the objections, and your life will change. It'll take a few weeks, but you will see it change.
That's right.
That's it.
And then one final word then, I'd like to say a really huge, big thank you to every single one of you that came onto the webinar. You will go away having found out loads of stuff. We really look forward to working with you guys. And here's to your health. And thank you very much. And I'd like to say thank you so much for Andrew. Andrew, I've learned a ton of information tonight. And I can't wait to get started myself.
Great. Looking forward to it. Suzanne, it's going to be a great journey.
Fabulous. So thanks, everyone, and good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Bye.